Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy. I'm joined today by Lukas Kacer. Shout out to him for coming here. He obviously doesn't have to, and he ended up doing that for me, so it really does mean a lot. Thank you. So today we are going to be doing a Dynasty video, but this video is primarily based on buy or sell questions. Some people want to figure out how they want to base their feeling on these certain guys. Now, some of these guys are guys that might click in your head as a definite buy. Some guys might be a definite sell, but I'm going to get my opinion as well as Lukas's so that it's not just a one-sided conversation with me talking about guys for an hour. I don't think that's very fun. I think it'd be fun to bring someone on here. So the first guy we're going to be talking about here is Zach Ertz, the tight end of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, as of right now, he is 29 years old, but during the season, he's going to turn that dirty 30. So what is your opinion on Mr. Zach Ertz?
I think all of me wants Dallas Goedert to take over, and I kind of felt that last season with the whole community, the fantasy community, that they wanted him to fully emerge as the starter or just kind of flop roles. So I put sell. Obviously, that depends on if you're contending or not because tight end position is weak. But you saw it last year. It sort of evened out in the snap share and how they kind of were used in the offense. I just took down his ADPs for the FFPC. If you know what that is, they're just high-stakes best ball dynasty leagues. And last year, 2019, he was at 21.8 ADP, and now he's all the way down to 46. So you can kind of see sort of how his dynasty value is faring now. Although I don't think the age is really like a huge deal for the tight end position, but I just think that Goddard's time is coming, whether we like it or not, for sure.
Yeah, last season, Zach Ertz finished as the tight end 4 in PPR formats, whereas Goedert was at number 10. So you can really see that he's going to elevate himself to move somewhat near in a snap share with Goedert and Ertz together. So I really think that Ertz is a guy that I definitely would not be buying right now. But what you said definitely makes a lot of sense. If you're close to contending, you may want to buy him. But I don't think that in the future he'll definitely be a guy that you will not want. So I think selling now before it's too late is definitely the thing that I would personally do. The next guy we're going to be talking about here is Odell Beckham Jr. Now, he is a wide receiver of the Cleveland Browns. Everyone knows who he is. He is 27 right now, will turn 28 during the season. Now, a lot of people have very strong opinions on Odell Beckham Jr. Lukas, how are you feeling on Odell?
I was all against him last year on the Candlestick Kids podcast on the co-host. We were very, very different in our views with him. I don't think I had him in any league. I don't know, was not feeling the whole Browns vibe along with a lot of people. But I put buy just for the sake of the video, but I put in quotations, but buy low. So, I'm not like all in to like, go buy him just because of what happened last year. But I just think I don't know. We know the talent's there. So that's kind of why they're low, but make sure it is low. So last year I put that he only had 2 top 12 weeks. We just obviously saw that the offense as a whole took a whole step of regression. The defense kind of did too, but that doesn't really affect the offense as much in fantasy. He still hit 1,000 yards, though, and a 26% market share, which for any other receiver, that's pretty solid. You wouldn't be complaining for the fantasy season if they had that. But the Browns, I think, have a lot more to fix than just the offense in general. That's kind of the whole organization. So I think if you are buying, don't necessarily think you're winning the trade right away. I think that like a late first is kind of ideal, I think, is probably the highest I would give him, but it's definitely a waiting process for me.
Yeah, definitely. If you try to sell him now, you may not get back what you would honestly be thinking about. He finished as a top 25 receiver last year. Not very good for some guy who you believed would be many people believe would be top 10. So I think I would try and buy him, but just like you said, you definitely cannot be paying a high price for a guy who's on the Browns. First off, the Browns you never know what they're going to end up doing. And with Odell, he's kind of one of those guys who is kind of a diva. He's a guy that does worry me. He may do something dumb off the field, like he was snorting some coke with those strippers a couple of years ago, if you remember that video.
Yeah, throwing the money in the LSU game and just, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's not professional, that's for sure.
Exactly. He's definitely not a professional. So I would try and buy him low, but I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to be selling a guy like Odell Beckham Jr., someone who a lot of people believe is a guy that could potentially be top 5 if the Browns decide to and figure out how to turn it around.
Yeah, and he could be on a new team too. Who knows that? I know they were showing they wanted out, but that's kind of not progressed in the offseason so far. So
yeah, definitely. Him and Jarvis were talking about telling the other quarterback to come get him, this, that, and the other thing. Will that ever happen? I'm not really sure the Browns would want to get rid of the guy this fast, but who knows? Now, the third guy here is a guy that I actually have a very strong opinion on. His name is Amari Cooper, wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, I assume most people know who these guys are. I'm just saying it. He is on a contract year, I believe. He needs to get that money this year. He is 25 now, but will turn 26 before the season begins. Now, to me, I'll go first. I think that Amari Cooper is definitely a talented guy, but in fantasy football, he does worry me. He has these games where he's on fire, and then the next game he does terrible, and he really disappoints you. So if you're looking for a guy in the first 2 rounds, like if you're talking about drafting him, I would not draft him, and I would try to trade him away personally. I would definitely sell him if I had him, especially if he gets the big bucks. People will think he's going to be good, because on the Cowboys, he looked a lot better than he was on the Raiders. Obviously, that's due to the quarterback play or maybe the coaching. I'm not sure which it is, but I definitely feel like Amari Cooper might be good in a normal league if you can get him, like a redraft league, but in Dynasty, I would not try to put the stake in on him.
Yeah, this is the only one I put hold on, and that's truly just based off the market, how it's going to be. He is a free agent this year, and if I had to predict, I am saying he doesn't return to the Cowboys just due to cap space issues. I just don't see the way they can get him back without tagging him, and I don't think he wants to be tagged. Or they'll prefer the tag on Dak. We'll kind of see how that plays out. But if he does go literally anywhere else, I think his value is only going to rise. People are just going to be like, oh, he's the number 1 receiver, or always playing with, I don't know, name anybody.
Yeah, ex-quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't really matter who he's playing with. They're just going to think it's a better situation. Then that's when you sell. So I think now you just got to hold. Mm-hmm. And even if he does come back to the Cowboys, he's still 25, I think you said.
Yeah, 25 turning 26.
Yeah, so he's still super young. Still, I would say a top 10 Dynasty tight end for sure. But I think hold for now because the market's only going to get better for him.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think that trying to buy or sell a guy who's in some type of contract dispute is definitely going to be very hard to try to sell him to someone at the current moment, because a lot of people talk about they don't know where he's going to go, this, that, and the other thing. Maybe buying him right now would be easier if you're really into buying him, if you really liked him. Personally, I'm not on that train, but I can see why some people are, definitely due to the age, the fact that he's so young.
Yeah.
Now, the next guy we're going to be talking about here is a guy that is going to be a very hot topic come a couple of months from now, a guy whose name is Kenyan Drake. Now, he's a running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Right now, he's 26 years old, and he will continue to be 26 throughout the season. Now, the thing with Kenyan Drake is the fact is, will David Johnson be there or will he not? There's these rumors that are saying, oh, David Johnson, the Cardinals do not want him. And then you read other things that say they're going to keep him. So what do you think happens there?
I mean, I think just like an overall free agency aspect of it, I don't think he's going to be the first priority of the free agent running backs, if that makes sense. So there's not going to be a like high demand, go get him type situation if another team's going to make an offer for him. Personally, I think he just goes back to the Cardinals because, like you said, David Johnson, rumored to be cut or traded or whatever's going to go on there. He has a ton of dead cap, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But if he does return to the Cardinals, I think I'm all for him. I put buy, but if he does return, like we're saying, it might be hard to buy him at the price you want him. But he, as you saw when he was the full-time starter in one of the worst offensive lines, he still produced at a fantasy level, and that's due to his ability to catch the ball. So I think really anywhere he goes, he will be that consistent RB2 with the RB1 upside, which we saw in the, a 4-touchdown game in Seattle, I think. Eagles,
Seattle, maybe the Eagles. I don't know.
Something like that. I knew it was towards the end of the year, but yeah, he definitely shined when he was the full-time starter. But the dead cap on David Johnson kind of makes me nervous as to what that team's going to do. But I'm putting buy for sure.
Yeah, I think if Kenyan Drake stays in this offense, I think the offense is definitely going to look better next season. We saw Kyler Murray was a rookie at the start of last season. I think he obviously got better as the season went on. I think he's going to use his legs more next season, which would help out Kenyan Drake. Now, personally, I do think that David Johnson is going to get cut, get the fuck out of there, because I don't think that they want to keep him. I think maybe he goes to Tampa Bay, something like that, but that's a whole different discussion. I do think that Kenyan Drake, to me, is definitely a buy, but is the price worth it is really the problem. What are you going to have to give up to get Kenyan Drake, would you think?
And I don't know, because there's people that are going to be biased on it, but I think fair value would be in this draft, you could say the 106 range. You're obviously not going to give a top end pick for one of the running backs, because that makes no sense to swap for an older running back. But I think, I don't know. I think 106, but I don't know if people are going to want it. I don't know. It's hard to – I haven't, personally tried trading for him, so I'm not for sure if that's, fair value for other people. But that's what I would get for sure.
Definitely. I think that Kenyan Drake has the potential to be a very good back as long as he's not with Adam Gase, that is. Adam Gase is Yeah, speaking of Adam Gase, we're going to pander down here. Obviously, on our list, I sent Lucas a list. There's another guy on here that deals with Adam Gase, and that is Le'Veon Bell. Now, Le'Veon Bell right now is 28 years old, and he will be 28 throughout the 2020 season. Now, a lot of people hate Le'Veon Bell for leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're a Steelers fan, you probably hate the guy. If you're a Jets fan, you probably are like, why did these people pay him so much money? He didn't do shit last year. Adam Gase likely also hates him as well. So 3 types of people hate him. Now, what is your opinion on Le'Veon Bell for the next couple of seasons, talking about Dynasty here, obviously?
I mean, he has to be a buy to me just because the value is so low. However, I don't see him producing much better than he did. I don't really see a top 5 running back like he used to be anymore, especially Adam Gase for sure. And that team is in such a rebuild mode that it's hard just to, I don't know, you can't just jump from being the Jets last year to winning the AFC East. It's not possible, especially with the Patriots there. But I think, I don't know. He ranks 7th in expected points per game, which is a good sign, but he only had 1 game that was non-negative in expected points or over expectation, which basically means how he performed over what projected for him.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of showing the offense is just bad in general, and it's not really his fault. He gets a lot of work receiving, so if they can somehow turn the running game on, he might be a high-end RB2, but I think I'm buying him a late first. This is probably the most I would give for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a guy that a lot of people are going to try to buy, but the owner of Le'Veon Bell may think, oh, Le'Veon Bell, remember him from the Steelers, remember his potential coming into last year. But no, he is not that guy anymore. I would definitely buy him as an RB2, but he is nowhere near, to me, a top 10 type, top 12 type of running back on a weekly basis. He's a safe, in my opinion, he's kind of safe because he's going to get you around 10, 12 PPR points, but he's never going to score you 30 like you saw in the Steelers. So he's definitely a guy.
And, I mean, the situation's not going to get worse for the Jets. You can't get much worse. So I think he can only go up. So that's why I'd put buy. But be cautious what you're giving for him for sure.
Exactly. I think that Adam Gase is really just a running back killer. He's the quarterback whisperer, according to many, but he does nothing to do with the running backs. He hates them.
He just had Peyton Manning. That's all.
Yeah. But now everyone thinks he's good. He's a good quarterback coach. So.
Oh, my God. No.
All right, the next guy here, we're going to go back to the Arizona Cardinals, and that is a young man, a rookie last year, Cristian Kirk, wide receiver of the Arizona Cardinals, 23 now, will turn 24 during the season. Obviously, these ages don't necessarily mean too much to a lot of people, but some people try to get guys that are super young. That's why I put the ages here. Now, Cristian Kirk, to me, is a guy that I think could potentially be amazing this year and for the future. I really think that once they get rid of Larry Fitzgerald, but who knows when that man is going to retire, if I'm being honest with you. He may play the next 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how old he is. He could be 70 at this point. I don't know. But I think that Cristian Kirk is a guy that definitely has a lot of upside in this offense that, like I said before, I believe will be a lot better. Even without David Johnson, it doesn't matter. It seems like they give the running back. It could be anyone. Even if it was Chase Edmonds, they'd still be good. So to me, Cristian Kirk is definitely a buy.
I put sell just because of the way I think he's valued in the market right now. And it's just due to his inconsistency as a receiver in general. And then, I mean, who knows with Hakeem Butler and Andy Isabella kind of what's going to happen there. And they have been mocked to get a ton of receivers, and every single one I see at the pick 5 or 6 or whatever they're at. So I'm just going to put sell just because he is young. People think that he's going to break out next year, and I just don't really know if that's the case. I don't know. He doesn't seem as that true dominant wide receiver 1 on a team to me. However, I'm not doubting his ability to break out. I just think that I'm selling at what people are giving for him right now.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Would you rather have him or a guy like Jerry Jeudy, a guy like that?
Oh, I'd for sure have Jerry Jeudy. I think he's just a better receiver in general.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm still going to continue to stay on I'm just going to say he's a buy. I'm not going to change my opinion, but your opinion, obviously, you're entitled to your opinion. It makes a lot of sense. I think that Cristian Kirk definitely could get better over the next couple of years, and that's why I would try to buy him, but you obviously can't be paying the price that a lot of people are going to want for a young guy who has shown promise in the league. Now, the next guy is another guy who was a rookie last year, and he absolutely disappointed due to injury concerns, or injury, I guess he was just injured. N'Keal Harry, wide receiver of the New England Patriots. He's 22 now, will turn 23 during the season. A lot of people last year touted him as being the best wide receiver a lot of people, what I was reading, thought he might be the best wide receiver in the class. What is your opinion on N'Keal Harry for the future?
This is tough because I want to put sell, but if you think about it, you probably got him at the minimum 105 in a super flex league last year. And I can't imagine people are giving more than, I don't even know if I want to say late first. It's not, you're definitely not getting the return you wanted. So he might be worth the hold, But if you can flip him for, I don't know, just anything that seems similar in value, I think I would get out while you can. Obviously, we don't know if Brady's going to return. Jarrett Stidham going to be the quarterback, one of the Jordan Love, Herbert. Who knows what's going to happen there. I don't know. It's definitely a sell if I had to put like one word on it, but you have to don't just give up, I guess is the way to say it.
I'm going to be honest, I'd probably run away from him. He kind of scares me, especially with Tom Brady. He may come back, may not come back, and then you're dealing with a rookie quarterback with a young wide receiver. I'm just not sure how that would go if they drafted a guy like Herbert, Love, guys like you were saying.
Yeah, it's a big question mark, which is kind of weird for the Patriots.
Yeah, Harry is a very talented wide receiver. I'm just not sure he can get it done there because it seems like last year people were touting guys like Sanu, all of them, and like Edelman. Even he disappointed a lot of the time. So I don't think that the Patriots wide receivers are looking too hot. They shipped away their wide receiver coach. He went to the Giants. So who knows what they look like in the future.
Yeah.
Now, the next guy here is another man who really disappointed. A lot of people thought that Baker Mayfield was going to be one of those guys. He had the it factor. He's in every single commercial on your television. So everyone knows who he is. Right now, he's currently 25, or no, he's 24. He will turn 25 during the season. Now, some people may be worried. They saw that picture of him wherever he was in Miami. He was looking like me. He didn't look like ripped at all. He didn't look like a quarterback, okay? Now, I think that Baker Mayfield is going to be a guy that you can definitely buy right now. A lot of people are very off of Baker Mayfield. In my opinion, he is a definite buy. I think this Cleveland Browns offense will look better. He's dealt with Hugh fucking Jackson. He's terrible coach. Freddie Kitchens. Who knows? Freddie Kitchens was not that good. Baker Mayfield even called him an idiot on the sideline, if you've seen that video. So I think that Baker Mayfield is a definite buy, and I think a lot of people will be willing to get rid of him. Now, in a super flex league, he may cost way more, obviously, because it's a super flex league. But I do think that he's a guy that I would try and target heavily.
Yeah, super flex, I'm just putting automatic buy. In any super flex league I'm in, if you can get any 24, 25-year-old quarterback that I don't want to say should be the starter for the rest of their career, but I got a feeling he will be.
Yeah.
You're going to have value there. Eventually, you'll be able to flip him. Eventually, he'll return that value. So automatic, just go get him right now. One quarterback, I don't know. I'm not a big hold on to guys one quarterback leagues. I'd rather just stream quarterbacks or pick up veterans so if you can get good enough value to help out your team in whole instead of trying to wait on a one quarterback in a one quarterback league, go ahead and sell. But I don't know. It was such a
disappointing season. Very disappointing.
The best part is the commercials, and they still played him throughout the whole season. That was the best part about it.
Yeah, I know. He did all these commercials. He was literally playing so awful. Like the Browns were fucking. They went from being a team that everyone thought would be amazing, me included. I honestly thought they'd be good. I don't know why I sipped the Kool-Aid on that. They're fucking terrible. But he seemed to be at the top up here, and now he's all the way at the bottom. So there's only ways to go up from here, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he did come out or he has been coming out saying I was too cocky, or he's kind of showing the respect, and I think he's becoming down to earth and humble with it, which is good for him. So hopefully that turns around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were buying heavily into him after that. I don't even know which week it was. It was week 1 or week 2 preseason game. He was just on fire. He was out there looking amazing. Yeah, I know people buy too heavily into preseason, but what is your opinion on him if you're just talking about this year? What do you think about him? Do you think that he will turn it around? Because I think he will have a much better season this year.
I haven't dug in too much to Stefanski's past, just in terms of how his offensive run. I think they're going to be run heavy for sure. I think they get Kareem Hunt back just because he's restricted. He'll be cheap. No team, especially after his weed incident or whatever a month ago, no team's going to want to buy into him. But run heavy doesn't mean necessarily bad things. Look at Matthew Stafford. That team's super run heavy, and they're just really efficient in the red zone. So a lot of things could happen. With how that offense develops, I think that they need to get Odell sort of bought in to the fact that it's a team game, not just him, because I don't know. Personally, Odell hasn't done anything in his career to be as cocky as he is, except for the one-handed catch.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, they just need to. I think if they can get them to buy in as a team, I think they'll be all right. So I think we'll just kind of see. Definitely better than last year, though, for sure.
Okay. I know that he's not on the sheet, but would you buy or sell Kareem Hunt? Because to me, Kareem Hunt seems like a guy that I would definitely buy, but I would have no confidence in him playing in 4 years. I would just think maybe he'll play next year. That's what I would think.
I mean, I would buy him just because we saw that receiving floor he had. And in Dynasty, it's more than just having because in redraft, you start 9 dudes. But in Dynasty, you got to have 12 to 13 plus bench spots plus future. You got to be able just to turn the clock every single time and have the depth. So I think just having that 9 to 10 points, if you're PPR league is huge for – I can't imagine you're giving much more than a second-round pick for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think he will pay off, definitely. I'm just worried about these off-the-field antics with him.
Yeah.
That would probably why a lot of people would be willing to sell him. So I think he might be a guy that's easy to buy. Now, the next two guys we're going to speak about here are the two running backs that played against each other in the Super Bowl this year. We got Rahim Mostar, the first guy we're going to talk about here, running back of the San Francisco 49ers. He'll be 28 years old to start the season. What is your opinion on this guy?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's sell. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't see him being a long-term running back, so you kind of have to sell, I feel like. That being said, don't just give him away for like a third, because who knows? He could be the running back next year. So I think it's more of a, I don't know, hold, I guess. But, I mean, now is your time to sell, because come draft, they could easily draft a running back, and now he's worth nothing. So I think it's, if you truly, truly don't believe that he will even be somewhat fantasy relevant next year, just get out while you can. But I think just hold for now.
Yeah, I think he was a solid sell like 2 weeks ago when the NFL season was still going. You could have just sold him now. Right now, he's definitely much more of a hold candidate, but I would be worried about what he does next season. Who do they bring back for the 49ers? Do they bring back Breida? Is Coleman there? What happens there? So I think Mostert is definitely kind of a hold, like you said. Now, the other guy we're going to speak about here is Damian Williams, running back of the Kansas City Chiefs. He is also just so happens to be 28 years old to start next season. Now, Damian Williams is a guy that a lot of people last year believed was it. He thought because of how he played down the stretch when they got rid of Kareem Hunt, he played great. Now, people are calling him Playoff Damian, or whoever that guy was that was announced in the game. Playoff Dame. So what do you think about Playoff Damian Williams?
I'm going to go with buy. I just think I am one of the few that don't think the Chiefs draft a running back, because name a time Andy Reid has done that ever.
The R1 Thompson.
Yeah, like the 6th round. He might have even been undrafted. I don't even remember. But it's to me, they just aren't going to invest the capital in the running back after they just saw what Damian Williams could do, and they just won the Super Bowl with him. Like, I mean, he's been injured, so he's just been kind of inconsistent. That's why they had to bring in Shady, Spencer Ware for a little bit. So I just think they aren't giving up on him by any means, and they might as well keep him for super cheap instead of going and getting DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, and having to throw him a good rookie contract because he's a first-round pick. So I'm going to put buy, because I think the majority of people are just Chiefs drafting a running back, so they don't think he's going to be the starter next year.
Yeah, to me, I would definitely probably sell him, if I'm being honest with you. I do not trust him on a week-in, week-out basis. He's a guy that does get hurt. On Miami, that dude was running and getting concussed about every time he got the ball. So I do worry about things like that. I do think that he is very talented, but on a week-in, week-out basis, it seems like they will just slam some other running back in there if Damian Williams doesn't perform for his first 6 tries of carrying the ball or getting the ball. So that definitely worries me.
Yeah.
I think that next season, Damian Williams could be great, but for the long term, I would be a bit nervous. Now, the next guy here is this guy may even be a bigger disappointment than Baker Mayfield in some people's eyes. This guy I think he might be the $100 million man. I don't remember how much they paid this guy, but this guy was a bum this year, and the Rams were a bunch of bums this year. That is Jared Goff, quarterback of the LA Rams. Now, he is a very young man. He's only 25 years old. Will be 26 to start the season. He is a guy that a lot of people bought into. The Rams bought into. They paid him big money. I don't understand how the Rams even have this much money. They pay their tight ends millions of dollars, their wide receivers so much money. I don't know how they can keep all these guys, but Jared Goff is a guy that, in my opinion, is a buy. He hit his low to me. I think the Rams will be much better in the future.
Yeah, I'm with you. Especially the super flex thing. Always buy. He's 24 or 25, whatever you said. Ton of career left ahead of him. I pulled up their pass percentages just to kind of see maybe why this offense got worse. So not this 18. They threw the ball 56% of the time. This last season they threw it 61.99, almost 62. To many people, that would make it seem like, oh, he should be better. They're throwing the ball more. But that just means they didn't have a run game. And no run game leads to bad play calling, because you're not having the 3rd and 2s. You're having 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and you're having to throw the ball downfield more. And Robert Woods was inconsistent. Brandon Cooks was hurt the whole year. They just really weren't – they just kind of just – after the Super Bowl, just forgot to, pick it back up come start of the season. I don't really know what it was. But this – I can only see – I agree. It hit is low. I can only see this team getting better. Sean McVay knows what he's doing. Obviously, he went to the Super Bowl out of the season last season with the team they had, which is the exact same team they're going to have going into this next year. Now with Jalen Ramsey. So I think it's definitely a buy for sure.
Yeah, Jared Goff finished last season as quarterback 13, so he didn't finish as bad as I honestly thought he was before I looked at the numbers, but he was just very much disappointed in compared to where you were going to be drafting him. Now, obviously, you're talking about how the Rams, they're going to bring back a lot of their guys. What do you think happens with Mr. Todd Gurley?
Why would they trade him? I don't want to say why would they trade him, I guess, but what would they look for in return? And then are they just going to hand it over to Darrell Henderson, who didn't even touch the ball last year? So it's just kind of shocking. And they don't have the money to go sign, I don't know, like a Melvin Gordon or something in free agency. So I don't know.
He's just very confusing because you read stuff on Twitter. I know a lot of people, that's where they find all their news. That's where I find a lot of my news. People are saying Todd Gurley's out, and people are saying he might go to Miami. I don't understand why Miami would even want some broken guy like that. You just run him into the ground, I guess, for a year or something. But I don't think that Todd Gurley being on the team necessarily really affects Jared Goff. I was just wondering where your head was at for that.
Yeah, it's confusing because the money doesn't line up, so that's why I don't really get it.
Yeah, and they said they drafted Darrell Henderson, and then they're giving the ball to Malcolm Brown on the 1-yard line. It really made no fucking sense last season at all to me. Yeah, now the next guy here is a young guy as well, and that is Preston Williams, wide receiver of my Miami Dolphins, a shit tier team. But he is going to be 23 years old to start the season. He is a young buck. He is a guy that I see immense talent in. When he was on the field, he looked great. He looked like he might be better than Devante Parker until Devante Parker really turned it on towards the end of the season. He like mossed Stephon Gilmore, made Stephon Gilmore look like a baby. So I think that Preston Williams for the future is a amazing buy. I think since he got hurt towards the end of the season, I think that's going to hurt people's perception of him. I believe he's tore his ACL twice, I think. This may be wrong, in both legs, so that doesn't sound very good. But I still think that he is going to be a good asset for the future. What do you think about Preston Williams?
So last year I kind of took in air yards, if you know those are, into a lot of my analysis, and we can save that for a whole other video. Basically, it's how far the ball travels in the air. So Ryan Fitzpatrick means lots of air yards. Losing games means lots of air yards. So his air yard starts were through the roof. He averaged 99 air yards per game, and his air yards per target was all games above our games that he played when he wasn't injured above 10 yards. One game below, which was 9.7, so basically 10. So, I don't know. I mean, he's a beast. I think he's better than Devante Parker. Devante Parker, I don't want to say only broke out because he got hurt, but, I mean, a little bit. He was getting 15 targets a game, Parker was, once Williams got hurt. So, I think they'll kind of even it out next year, and, I mean, you can get them super cheap. I can't imagine you're giving anything more than a mid-tier second, or you could even flip, I don't know, Rahim Mostar if like us and don't really believe in him necessarily for a young receiver he'll be on the Dolphins for a while.
Okay, so you were speaking about Devante Parker. It seems like you just said that Preston Williams might be better than him. I believe that too. Do you think that paying the price for Devante Parker is anywhere near worth it? Because I do not think so.
I mean, I think it's more of a, yes, talent and yes, what he's done, but I think it's more of just a building piece for this team the Dolphins are building with all their picks and all the cap space they have. I think they just know after the last season they needed to lock him up for sure, just to kind of help that wide receiver room a lot and just kind of build the morale of the team. I don't know. I don't really want to say yes or no because I think there's a lot more that goes into it than just what he showed in his fifth-year breakout. So I don't know. I'll say yes, he's worth it just because of the whole team aspect total.
Okay. I'm just a bit worried because as we've seen in the past, Ryan Fitzmagic goes to a team, tears it up. Next year, looks like a fucking bum. So that is something that does worry me, and that goes into the equation of if I would want Devante Parker or not. Obviously, for the future, it's going to be Tua. It's going to be Herbert, Love, one of those guys. So right now, I think that Devante Parker could be great, but I think that right now his price, I don't think you can ever get a higher pick for him, in my opinion. He's you don't think he's at the max right now?
No, I think he is. You can't. Okay. This is the highest you can sell him for sure.
Okay, so yeah, he would definitely be a sell for me. Now, the next guy here we're going to be speaking about is Evan Engram, a man who cannot stay on the field. At least to me, it never seems like he's ever healthy. What would you do with a guy like Evan Engram? He's only 26 years old, right? Or 25 now, will be 26 to start the season. Now, the Giants are bringing in a new coach. Do you think he will look better in this type of an offense with Daniel Jones, or do you think he's just going to be the same old guy who goes out there, ties his cleats, breaks his leg, something like that?
I mean, he's going to look so much better in the offense because they're going to run the ball, play action, but when's he going to be on the field? That's like the biggest question with him always, which leads me to sell him, but that could mean not so low. Like, it's tough because there's not a lot of dynasty leagues with strictly a tight end position, at least from my experience. So it's kind of a tough value to him because when he plays, he's getting you the 9-10 points a week, but you just kind of have to assess the injury. And I'm not the guy to talk about injuries or anything. Or
I'm not a
when
doctor.
He's going to be healthy. Yeah,
I'll still make an assumption, even if I'm not a doctor.
I mean, I would just sell to see what you can get right now and not have to worry about the injury. I never draft him in redraft the last 2 years just for that reason. So
I drafted him. It was a terrible mistake.
Yeah, and his ADP was great for what his value was, but he just gets injured all the time.
His talent is very good, but like we were talking about, his injuries concerns are very high. Speaking of high injury concern, let's speak about Mr. Cannot stay healthy, Mr. Turf Toe, AJ Green, wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this man is as old as they get. He is the oldest man that we are going to be talking about here. He is 30. Actually, no, he's not the oldest, but he's 32 years old. He's the oldest wide receiver we're going to be talking about. What do you think about old man AJ Green?
Oh, so just get out. Who even knows if he's going to be playing football next year? Like, I don't want people to – they're like, oh, Tom Brady and AJ Green in New England. Like, he was also supposed to come back in week 4, like week 8, week 10. Like, I don't really – like, people just keep holding on to this. What I don't even know. Like, he was good 3 years ago, and just get out while you can. Take that second-round pick and, I don't know, go draft Justin Jefferson or someone.
See, I don't even think he might be worth that much. That's why I think I just hold him or buy him maybe.
Yeah,
off the hopes to the fantasy lords that Burrow is good and he stays on Cincinnati and Burrow throws him the ball a gazillion times.
I mean, he will if he plays. Like I don't know. Some people just never stay healthy, and it's just I don't know, disappointing.
I honestly think last season AJ Green was healthy. If I'm being honest with you, like 10 games in, he just said, "Fuck the Cincinnati Bengals. These guys suck. I don't want to go out there and break my leg as per usual. So I'd rather just sit on the bench."
That could be true. So I don't think he returns to the Bengals if I had a pick, but I don't know what team's going to pay him that much. I mean, if Brady returns, I think it's locked in that he goes there, but I don't know what team is going to necessarily pay him a lot of money.
Okay, so I know this guy is on the sheet as well. He's on your wall, Emmanuel Sanders. Now, what do you think about that man? He's not up there. Do you think he is going to get traded? Do you think you would buy him before he gets sent off from San Francisco, or are you just going to completely avoid him and just hold him?
Yeah. I mean, like on my teams, I'm just going to avoid just because he's so old. I'm hoping he goes back to the Broncos because he is a free agent, so I'm hoping that'd be kind of cool, like a farewell tour with Drew Lock, but I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to buy him. He's 33, if I believe, or 34 or something.
Yeah, he's very old.
Just take what you can get for selling him. Let someone else have the 4 or 5 explosive games next year.
All right. Next guy here we're going to be speaking about is actually the oldest guy on here. That is Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Now, just like Baker Mayfield, this guy is on your TV every single day. You turn on ESPN, you see his face 20 times. Now, he is a guy that this year disappointed heavily. He was a guy that in redraft leagues, at least what I'm speaking of, I saw him go in like the 5th round, the 4th round. He's a guy that a lot of people were targeting. And now he's getting even older. Would you even think about drafting him later in a dynasty league? And then would you buy or sell him right now?
If you're drafting now, yes, because I think post-draft they're going to add receivers somewhere, tight end, whatever they're going to add. Then you flip them. I think not that I don't think he's good, not that I don't think he can return value, but I don't know how much years he has left in him. He has been injured. I feel like they've kind of hit that peak in terms of like Super Bowl, and like last year I think there was kind of a fluky 13 wins or whatever they had.
So do I.
They played like Seattle to go to the NFC Championships. I think his value is not at an all-time high right now, but I think it definitely should be after they draft a receiver, which I think they're in a prime spot to do for sure.
Yeah, they have to. They don't have anyone like MVS, Geronimo Allison, guys that everyone talked about. Where were they? Nowhere. They were terrible.
Yeah, it made no sense. I don't really get what happened.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. Now, we're also going to speak about someone who's also not on the sheet. This is Aaron Jones. Now, Aaron Jones, I'm not sure how old he is. That would obviously be part of the thing. But what do you think about Aaron Jones? Because last year he was amazing, flat out amazing. He looked great. It seems like Matt LaFleur likes to run the ball. Now the problem is, what do they do with Jamal Williams? Jamal Williams, when he played, looked, at least to my eyes, he looked good. So what do you think happens with Aaron Jones? Is he a guy that you think is there for the future, or do you think they just have him for a couple more years, say get out of there like Fat Eddie Lacy and all the other guys that have been a Green Bay Packer running back the past 10 years?
He's going to be 25. I actually know this. I actually just sold him in one of my leagues for like the 103, and I think, I don't know, something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough because I know what he can do with the split that he had in the backfield last season.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to get a better split at all. Like it truly is a 50-50 share, and they're committed to Jamal Williams because he's good.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jones just gets the red zone touches.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you can capitalize on sort of turning that, what he had last year, or maybe turning that into, like I said, the 103, that could be a workhorse back and no timeshare.
Mm-hmm.
It's the more consistent basis. I think he's definitely the move, but I don't think I would sell him low because he is 25. Should be with Rodgers at least for like the rest of his prime of his career, 26, 27 age.
Yes. Okay, now the next guy we're going to talk about here is Corey Davis. Now, he's a guy that I think a majority of Twitter, a majority of fantasy analysts, a majority of everyone, no one likes this guy. I hate Corey Davis. I personally do not think he will ever be a talent in the NFL. Now, I spoke to Noah a week ago, FB God, and he was telling me that he thinks that Corey Davis isn't that bad. Corey Davis right now, 24, will be 25 to start the season. He is going to be dealing with the Ryan Tannehill show likely. They probably ship Mariota somewhere. Mariota rides the pine for some cheap amount of money. What do you think about the bum, Corey Davis?
I mean, I put by because when I watch those games, he doesn't he's not bad. Like, he doesn't look bad.
Mm-hmm.
The offense kind of adapted as we saw this year. They went to the AFC Championship. I think I put by because A.J. Brown, we saw how we did against man coverage, and I think teams identify that, and they will just continue to press if they have the number one corner like a Gilmore, Darius Slay, guys like that. They will just man him up and make Corey Davis go to work in zone on the other side of the field, which he looked okay. I mean, he's not going to be putting up like the top 24 wide receiver numbers. I just don't think the Titans, especially if they get Henry back and Tannehill, they don't have the passing game capability to do that. But I think I would think his value is at an all-time low right now. I would think that you could just buy him with the hopes that a Devante Parker fifth-year breakout happens, something like that, where maybe A.J. Brown gets hurt and he puts up 1,000 yards in a season.
Yeah, no, I honestly think I would buy him too. I literally hate him so much, but I think that the price you are going to pay is so minuscule for a guy that has the potential to be great. You saw with Mariota just wasn't that good, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think Mariota is that great of a quarterback. So now with Tannehill, I think he does pick it up, but I don't think he'll ever be a guy, like you said, that could be like a top 10 guy, a top 24 guy, maybe not even a top 25, 28 guy. I don't know, but he could be a guy that if A.J. Brown goes down or if he just somehow becomes what he should have been, what a lot of people believed he would be, I think that he's definitely a guy that I would buy as well. Now, I'm going to pivot real quick to his teammate, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, you may have to put Derrick Henry out there to buy him. Like, you got to buy some fat guy, you got to put the boat to get Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry is going to be worth a lot, and I think I would, if I had Derrick Henry, I think I would hop off the ship as fast as I could. What do you think?
Get rid of him. I'm not going to say he can't score 18 touchdowns again, but the odds of that happening, like, I haven't looked at regression or any of that, but there's no way over a 65% chance that he hits 18 touchdowns again. Like, it's just
no way.
Not going to happen. And I don't want to say teams are going to game plan against it because teams did that. He's just a beast. But who's to say he'll even be on the Titans next year? And
I don't know. He says he wants Zeke's contract. Zeke is the floor, I think is what he said.
Yeah, and he might just hold out like Zeke did. So you could definitely get a top first and another young piece for sure.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely get away from him as fast as I possibly could. I think he gets the ball too often too. That also scares me a lot. When you see these guys, he's 26 years old and he gets the ball a gazillion times a game. That very much scares me. And he's also one of those guys who turns it on towards the end of the season. I don't know if you've noticed this. The past 2 years, he's sucked ass. Like, the beginning of the season, he's terrible. You don't want anything to do with him. And then magically, he's like Mr. November and December. He just turns it on then when it gets a bit cold over there in Tennessee. He turns it on, and that's not something I want for my team, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, and he can't. I mean, he can't catch. Not saying he can't catch passes, but he doesn't. So no team's gonna just make that happen. So yeah, I'd just get out while you can, for sure.
Okay, now I'm just going to bring up two last guys here, and then we'll be done. These are two guys that are not on the sheet, but these are guys you obviously probably have an opinion on. Now, the first guy here is Matt Ryan. He is 34 years old right now, will be 35 next season. Are you nervous about Julio getting worse? Are you nervous about the Falcons just being a cursed franchise? Are you worried about things like that?
No. I mean, I don't think so. I just think that their O-line, the two rookies didn't really play at all last year just due to injuries. I don't know. I mean, Devante Freeman, actually, they said they're probably going to cut him. So hopefully they get – I predicted Melvin Gordon in our episode coming out Thursday. So I'm hoping that happens because I think that would be literally just an upgraded Devante Freeman if I had to, like, kind of compare Melvin Gordon to him. So I think, yeah, you could buy Matt Ryan because no one's going to be asking a ton for him, especially the up and down seasons he's had. But the Falcons definitely aren't good enough to go to, like, an NFC championship. But I don't think they're bad by any means.
All right. You brought up Melvin Gordon. Now, Melvin Gordon, you personally believe he goes to Atlanta, right?
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So do you think he does anything there? Do you think you would buy him right now? Do you think your assumption is, like, very strong? Do you feel very strongly that will happen, and would you buy him if that was the case?
I mean, I think I would buy him anyways if someone's putting him up pretty low because literally anywhere he goes, he's going to be a top 15 running back, I think, for sure. And he's 26, I believe. Yeah. I'm not for sure.
He's very talented as well.
So, like, if he goes back to the Chargers, cool. We saw he was still good last year. And then if he goes literally anywhere else, he's going to be the workhorse. So it's only going to get better. So I think, yeah, I would buy him right now.
Okay. I'm going to bring up his teammate as well, Austin Eckler. Well, his teammate right now may not be his teammate, like you said. But what do you think about Austin Eckler? Austin Eckler, to me, if Gordon is still there, I'm very worried about, if I'm being honest with you, because he looked very good when he was the sole back. The Chargers, to me, looked 90 times better without Melvin Gordon. So I don't see why they would keep him, if I'm being honest with you. I think Austin Eckler is a very talented back. He might be a better one of the best pass-catching backs in the league. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is probably number one. He may be number two. He was out there scoring all types of points for your fantasy team the first couple of weeks, and then he tapered off, and then towards the end, he got better again. Now, do you think that Austin Eckler could maintain a great season if Melvin Gordon is there, if Melvin Gordon is out? What do you think?
I mean, as much as I like Eckler, I don't think he's a workhorse back. Like, yeah, we saw it 5 games, but there's 16 games in a season. Many, many years of the like he had 90 catches, probably roughly in that range. Mm-hmm. Many seasons of 90 catches and 250 carries, just not. I mean, we'll see it with McCaffrey. He'll slowly just decline in production just because. I mean, it's just how your body works. You can't do that.
You can't get the ball 7,000 times in a season.
Yeah, so. I don't know. I want to put Eckler as a buy because I think he comes back to the Chargers because he's restricted. So I think he'll just fall back there. But I think his price is pretty high, and the chances of Gordon coming back, I don't want to. They're not out of the water of yes. Like I think there's a pretty good chance that he comes back. It might just obviously whatever you pay for Eckler right now, if Gordon comes back, is not what you would be paying after free agency.
Okay. Now the last quarterback I want to bring up here, and then I'm just going to ask you one question, and then we will be done with this. The quarterback I want to talk about here is Matthew Stafford. Now that guy is also getting up there in age. Do you think you would buy him, or do you think he's a guy who now at this point in his career will never be able to stay healthy because he got hurt 2 years in a row, his back problems? Do you think that he will be okay for next season? Because I think if he could stay healthy, he's a great quarterback, but his health to me worries me far too much to even touch him. To me,
yeah, it's like you're going to be paying less than Matt Ryan, I think, for sure. I mean, unless there's like a huge Lions fan or whatever, but I don't know. When he plays, yeah, he's good because that team kind of sucks, so they're always down. I think they're only going to get better with a second year TJ Hawkinson. Maybe Kerryon Johnson. I don't really know what's going to go on there. He has the weapons, and we saw that last year to be I think he was like QB1, or he was definitely a QB1, but he was definitely up there for top 12 QBs the first 6-7 weeks whenever he played. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't like rush to buy him by any means. I think he'd be like a fallback option if I miss on like a Matt Ryan or I don't know, any other older quarterbacks.
Yeah. The thing with Matt Ryan also, I know we just talked about Matt Stafford. He seems like he's one of those every other year guys to me. He seems like one year he's great. The next year he sucks. Last year, not that good. So, you think he would bounce back next year.
Yeah, pattern holds, I guess. So.
Yeah. The final question I have here, this has nothing to do with buying or selling. This just has to do with Dynasty as a whole. Now, a lot of people love Lamar Jackson. Do you think that Lamar Jackson, if you were drafting right now, would you draft Lamar or would you draft Pat Mahomes? Because for me, I'm going to stick my stake, plant the flag like Nick Bosa, throw that shit in the ground. I think Pat Mahomes is the better option.
Oh, it's for sure Mahomes. You can't, not like they're both going to be – they could easily just alternate quarterback one seasons for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, Lamar's body's going to wear on him, where Mahomes can sit in that pocket for 20 more years and just sling the ball to – whoever's there. So I think I don't know. 'Cause you can't say take the floor because Lamar's going to have that rushing floor every year, but eventually Lamar's going to fall off as more teams adapt to the whole RPO running quarterback situation.
Exactly. I don't think that Lamar Jackson – I think Lamar Jackson will be great next year and for the future.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure that he – like where people are trying to draft him, like some people in Superflex leagues, they say, let me draft Lamar Jackson at number 1. To me, I'd rather just pick Pat Mahomes there because I'm so much more confident with him going down the road. And every single year, I just think he will be amazing as long as he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, and we saw how, in quotations, bad Mahomes played, and he won the Super Bowl MVP and still threw for like 300 yards. So, yeah, he's definitely the 101 overall in Superflex.
Yeah. This question has nothing to do with Dynasty. This is just the last question. Do you think Damian Williams should have won the MVP?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But that's more so because I'm a Broncos fan, and I just kind of hate the Chiefs in general. But, yeah, he definitely should have for sure.
Yeah, I think that he honestly got robbed. Who do you think would have won if the 49ers won? I honestly think Bosa may have won or Deebo Samuel.
I think Deebo probably would have got it, but I don't know. It's tough because I don't know if they necessarily would have given it to a wide receiver.
They never seem to. Never.
He didn't even like catch the ball, which I mean, like you don't have to. Like he was effective, but I don't think they would give it to him. So they would. Yeah, Bosa had a good game. I was kind of hoping like Sherman would get a pick or something and not toasted. So I knew if he got one interception, it was his for sure. But yeah.
How do you think Richard Sherman felt after that game? Like, Darrell Revis was definitely lit up about that. Like, see, I told you he was a bum.
Yeah, there's a reason that Sherman hasn't said anything since the Super Bowl. It's just I hate when players run their mouth. Like, literally Baker Mayfield last year. That's why I was just turned off right away. And then it's the same situation for him after.
I like guys who run their mouth, but when they back it up, like Mahomes is kind of cocky, but he's also, like, reserved in the same way.
Yeah, like, you have to have the credibility first. And, like, Baker last year, he had 4 games or whatever he started, and so it's
What do you think? I'm just gonna ask one last question. I'm sorry. I'm gonna ask you 20 last questions, but for the Browns, this is not talking about dynasty. We're just talking real NFL here. What do you think happens to the Browns? Do you think they will always be? I may have even asked you this. Do you think that they're gonna be like a garbage franchise forever, or do you think that Baker, Chubb, Odell, Landry could turn this ship around? Because if I'm being honest with you, I think they may be cursed or something like that. I think they may get like 8-8 next year, but I don't see them being like a playoff contender really ever.
It's if they keep cycling coaches every year, trying to and it's not even cycling coaches. They're cycling coaches with completely different play calling schemes. So it doesn't make sense what they're trying to do. The GM hasn't been fired since their 0-16 season, correct?
No, they fired Dorsey, didn't they?
I don't even remember. I don't really –
Is Dorsey their owner? Maybe he's the owner, not the GM.
I don't really know. But there's more of an issue than just the way they're playing football. It's just an overall, like you said, franchise. It's the reason why the Patriots were so good for so long. They were just able to bring in players because players knew that they would produce no matter their role. So I think I don't want to say they're cursed or anything because I think 8-8 is a pretty good season for them next year. Not going to lie, if they put up decent offensive stats. And I mean, 8-8 is in the AFC usually is contending for that last wild card spot down to that last week. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. It definitely should be better than next year, but who's to say them trying to do a Vikings when running the ball scenario won't work because their O-line did kind of suck last year.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Myles Garrett is going to play again next season? I think you don't think so? No, I think he plays halfway through, or they give him like a 4-game suspension because what he did was it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen something like that happen on the football field in all 20 years of me watching the game. But you really don't think that he will ever play next season?
I just don't know if Goodell wants to go through that. I don't put himself through that because if he reinstates him or gives him a 4-game suspension, that's people are going to compare it to Brady's. Brady had a 4-game suspension because he deflated the football. Mm-hmm. But Myles Garrett literally could have killed Mason Rudolph. I don't know. I just don't think – I mean, personally, I don't think he should play ever again. Mm-hmm. But I think Goodell knows he'll find his way back in if he, bans him or whatever. So I think eventually, yes, but it'll be a long process. It'll literally be the AB process all over again this offseason. Okay.
All right, well, talking about AB, do you think he will ever touch the field again? To me, I think he is one of the most talented wide receivers I've ever seen. He's clearly an idiot, clearly dumb, and clearly has problems, mental problems, I think. Do you think he ever plays an NFL snap again? I think the answer is yes. I don't think it'll be next year. I think it might be 2 years from now, and he's going to suck.
XFL? Can I? I mean, like,
Oh no, there's no way. Mr. Whole Lot of Money ain't gonna play for 50 grand or however much they pay.
yeah, what a waste of talent. He could have, like, he was. I mean, he was pretty old. He was, I think, 30 now.
Yeah.
He could have played for at least 8 more seasons. And yeah, I think he's one of the most talented because he was so undersized for what he did. Like 5, probably 10, not even 5'11". Like, he wasn't very big. Yeah, 5th round pick. It's just weird how, like, the flip of the switch, he's asking for money, the Raiders, and then all this happened.
Yeah, it's very confusing how he works because one day he's like all happy on Twitter. Oh, let me back in the league. And then the next week, something happens with his kids. He's doing something fucking stupid. And then the next day, he's perfectly fine again. He's like the most confusing guy I've ever seen in my life. He's the best follow on Twitter probably because of how funny it just is. He's amazing. Dude, I think that he is going to get in the Hall of Fame, but I think they screw him over. I don't think he gets in on the first ballot just because of how crazy he is.
No, there's no way. Even if the people voted him in first ballot, there's no way they would let that happen.
Like, you don't think so?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, I don't know if they would necessarily like pivot to the next, like, say they take in 4. If he's 4th, they wouldn't just take the 5th guy. I just think they would like
just
call
say,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, they definitely, maybe not though, because he really didn't do anything to like hurt the NFL or like he didn't try and hit someone with his helmet or whatever. Like, it's not. Yeah. He was just screwed up or whatever.
Just a real idiot.
Yeah, just use social media to his advantage, I guess. So, no, I don't know. I don't think that's ever happened. They haven't, like, banned anyone from the Hall of Fame or anything like that. So.
Yeah, no, it's just some guys just don't get in, like, when they should get in. Like Ocho Cinco, I don't think he's even in.
I don't think so.
He should be in as well. Yeah. I talked to Max about that. We were talking about the Broncos. What do you think about the Broncos? This is just going to go into something random, but what do you think about the Broncos? Do you think that my boy Horsecock, Drew Lock, as I like to call him, is the guy? Because Max was saying he thinks he's the guy. I think he's the guy. I think he is also kind of cocky, to be honest with you. I think he has that cocky persona, just like Baker. But I think he actually put up for, like, I've never heard of him, if I'm being honest with you. Until he stepped on the field, I had no idea who Drew Lock was. I'm not sure. You probably did because he's on your team. But do you think he is the guy for the future? Or do you think he's like Case Keenum or any other guy they've drafted in the last 5 years?
I mean, I was mad they drafted him. Like, I was like, I sort of knew it was happening when they traded back because I follow a bunch of accounts on Twitter and they interviewed Elway and Elway's talking about how they're not trading up for a quarterback, but he really likes Drew Lock. So once they traded down and gained that extra second-round pick, I kind of knew. And I mean, he kind of reminds me of Jordan Love this year, or like Justin Herbert. Like, we know he's good at football, but he just didn't play Oregon's a big conference or whatever, but like they didn't perform consistently at the top. And it could have been because he was overshadowed by Kyler and guys like that. But I just wasn't a big fan going in. I knew he was going to come in sometime in the season. I was hoping it was sooner rather than later. The whole Brandon Allen thing was not I don't even know what to call it. It kind of worked out a little bit. But
yeah, he was actually not that bad.
No, he played okay. But I think with Shermer now, I think it's a really good fit. You need to let him just air it out, kind of like Mahomes got to do in Kansas City. And there could be a building process this year. So I'm not expecting 7-9 to 10-6 by any means, but we have the pieces for sure. And we're at a prime spot to add a receiver that I think we definitely can be a team going forward.
I think I lied before. I did know who Locke was because that's who I wanted Miami to draft during the draft. Okay. And then we went ahead and just said, no, let's just go with Fitzmagic. Let's just it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand.
It worked though. You guys got 5 wins. That's pretty.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that's not good, but I mean, you guys got to be kind of happy.
Yeah, well, I would have rather have just had Locke and just figured out if he was good, and then if he sucked, you just draft Tua or something, because then you're still probably end up at 5 wins. Maybe we have got less wins and we have a better pick now. Maybe that was a better idea, but I think that Locke is a very good quarterback. Now we're going to pivot to the running backs here. What is your opinion on Rolls-Royce Freeman? He, in my opinion, is one of those guys that we're going to be talking about what you think for him for the future, but for in real life, for fantasy purposes, I really thought he was the guy. When did he come out? 2 years ago? I thought he was going to be a great draft pick. And then Phillip Lindsey comes out in nowhere. Do you like Phillip Lindsey? Do you think that Phillip Lindsey is the guy, or do you think Royce Freeman's the guy, or do you think neither of these guys are the guy? Do you think they both are going to end up falling off the edge of the earth?
I think they are both the guy and not the guy. That makes sense. They're definitely a committee, and I'm okay with that. I think some Bronco fans are like, oh, you got to pick one, but it's not how the NFL works. Name how many long-term workhorses there are. There isn't.
LaDainian Tomlinson or whatever.
Yeah, and then McCaffrey, but they'll eventually, out of a change of pace because they have to, because you can't run look at Todd Gurley, look what happened with him. Le'Veon Bell, like Leonard Fournette eventually will be in that same spot. So I think they underused. I mean, it was pretty 50-50 snap share, but they underused Royce Freeman. But you can't force touches. Like you can force snaps, but you can't force touches. So I think they're at a good happy medium. But yeah, I don't. They're both pretty talented. So I don't really know if one's better than the other.
Okay, I just found it funny this year when you would look at some games and then you'd be like, "This is the Phillip Lindsey game. They're good against. They can pass the ball to the running back here. This defense is not that good against that." And out of nowhere, they're throwing the ball to Royce Freeman. It really, to me, made zero sense how they run the offense there. It doesn't make any sense. I think that their defense could be better. I think. What do you think happens? Do you think Von Miller? How much longer do you think he could stand being on this team if they are this bad? Do you think he ever says, "Fuck it, let me go win again. Let me go somewhere else"? Or do you think he's a very loyal guy?
I think after last year, I think last year at the trade deadline, it kind of proved that he's loyal. I think him and Chris Harris, I thought they were both gone along with Sanders. I mean, and I understood why. Like it made sense. It is how it's a business. That's how it works. But I think after last year, I think for sure you saw that they were loyal and committed to shockingly what John Elway had in place. It's been a long time, 4 or 5 years since Manning that they kind of which, I mean, literally they got Manning, they snapped their fingers and they were Super Bowl contenders. So it's not like they were ever really good before that. So I think they're committed for sure. And I hope they just add one corner. That's all we needed. Our second corner was so bad last year and we can never figure it out.
Do you like Elway? Do you think Elway being a part of the team is good? Obviously, Elway, the quarterback, was amazing. But Elway, whatever his position is on the Broncos, this guy drafts quarterbacks that are tall, they're white, and that's all he does. But then his other draft picks look amazing. So I don't understand what this guy's doing. Do you think that they need him still, or do you think they should ever eventually part way? Or do you think he's just a guy, since he's John Elway, he's just locked in there? Kind of like Marino is part of the Dolphins. He'll always be there. He'll always be a guy that's on the sideline talking behind the scenes. Do you think that he will always be that guy?
Yeah, I think he'll always be there. And I think if you step back and look at the drafts, like his hit rate or whatever you want to call it compared to other teams, it's literally just as good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's good. But his quarterbacks are just off. It doesn't make any sense how one of the better quarterbacks of all time can't figure out how to draft a quarterback.
And, I mean, it's tough. Like, if you look at the whole league in general, a lot of quarterbacks were later picks. A lot of the first and second overall picks missed big time. I think he's done a good job in – not drafting quarterbacks, but he's built a team around. So now if Drew Lock is the guy, he can step right in and we'll be fine. And we can just add in veteran pieces. But I think Bradley Chubb, Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton at some points, guys like Josie Jewell, you probably don't know. He's just a linebacker that's played really good the last couple 2 years or 3 years. I think he's done an okay job, but he's never going to be the big-time GM by any means.
Yeah. Now, you talked about Deshaun Hamilton. What happened to him? Because from watching from afar, I'm not a Broncos fan. I don't watch every Broncos game. So what happened to him? Because he was a guy that a lot of people, in my opinion, I thought he was the best wide receiver on that team the year before, last year, or if you're calling it this year, maybe I don't know what you would call it. But he looked very good. What do you think happened? Why did they stray away from using him? Is it just Cortland Sutton being great? Is that it?
No, because I think the year prior to this year, they both were out there. They were just Deshaun Hamilton just didn't get out there, so that could have been maybe he just didn't perform in practice. But it was also a little bit kind of how they ran the offense because they knew that they were just sort of undermanned, like Joe Flacco and a string of tight ends that were just kind of there. Noah Fant was still there. They were trying to run the ball a lot. So it was just kind of, I don't know. It was definitely interesting because I didn't expect it. But then you saw at the end of the year when Drew Lock came in, they let him air it out that Hamilton, not like he had huge games, but he was just that third option or second option last year. But he will be the third option at receiver. Okay. Hopefully this coming year, though, I think he'll be okay. He won't ever be a fantasy player by any means, though, I don't think.
Yeah, I love that guy because he won me a championship 2 years ago. So I have a lot of respect for him. Yeah, he played great. And then Lindsey, the guy that I was playing against, Lindsey got hurt. So it was beautiful. It was amazing.
Broncos helped you out.
Yeah, never hope for injuries, though. But the last question here, I'm just going to ask you. This is actually the last question. We're actually done here. But what do you think about these – they're not rookies now. They were rookies last year. Who do you think is the best tight end for the future when talking Dynasty? Do you think it's Fant? Do you think it's Hawkinson? Or do you think it's one of those other guys?
I mean, I'm going to say Fant, but I think Irv Smith is close just because I think when it comes to tight end now – you have to have that dynamic playability, as we see with George Kittle. And I don't want to say Hawkinson doesn't have that, but he's kind of restricted to a blocking tight end, less of a receiving option until maybe Marvin Jones retires or they become less run heavy. But I think, I mean, I think you saw with Fant in some spurts, and Irv Smith should have been used a lot more than he was. That they are super athletic. So I think tight ends are tough because I don't really think you're ever going to play that one tight end that's super young every week unless you have like Kittle or like Mark Andrews. Like you're going to be cycling based off matchups or whatever else the issue is. But I think Fant and Irv Smith are probably the better ones going forward.
Okay. I just think that those are all guys that you could really buy very low. Irv Smith, you could probably, I don't even know, you could probably give someone like a quarter and they'll buy him. Like, no one really, no one believes in him. Is Rudolph coming back next year? Do you know?
He was supposed to get cut last year and then he signed like a 1-year extension or something. I don't really know. He could easily get cut though.
Rudolph's literally one of those guys who I think will always just be in the NFL and like never be great. He's just one of those guys that's always going to be out there.
Jimmy Graham.
But Jimmy Graham was great at one point.
Well,
I don't think Kyle Rudolph will ever be great. I don't think he's ever been great, to be honest.
No, he just catches like the 1-yard touchdown every once in a while.
Yeah, he just catches the ball, and then they don't call pass interference, and then Kittle does the same thing in the Super Bowl, and they call pass interference, but that's about all I have to say. So
we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you to Lukas for coming here. Lukas, you can plug anything. Your Twitter will be like at the bottom of the screen underneath your face. So.
Okay. Well, just go onto the Twitter, and there's a bunch of links. I co-host another channel, so maybe YouTube, and probably easier if you just find that all on Twitter. But yeah, go follow me on Twitter.
Okay. Thank you again to Lukas. This was pretty fun. Obviously, we pivoted off of talking about just strictly Dynasty because I like to have this go like longer than an hour. And if you make it longer than an hour, someone else, they'll just keep listening regardless of what.
Oh, yeah. That's what I do. So.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of riffed a bit, but it's okay. We still stayed pretty much on topic for the whole beginning until the end. But thank you for coming out, Lukas. It really does mean a lot. All of Lukas's links are down in the description, like he said. So please make sure you guys check that out. He's a great guy. His podcast is good. I've listened to a couple episodes of it. It's good. So have a great day. I love you all. Goodbye.